Okay, everybody, so here we go. This is TDF training session number 5 of the 5-session TDF class. So we're at the end of this first round. First up here, the slightly new look of TDF. They did a version change last week, as you know. I don't know how many of you were able to get that new version up and running last Thursday. I had trouble, but I'm a remote user. I think most folks out on the East were fine, but if you're a remote user and you haven't gotten the new version downloaded yet, it should say 7.0 up here, and it should say Info Center. If you're having trouble with that, all you can do is go to IT. I know nothing. Managers Council turned into Info Center. I know that much. Some of the icons that used to be across the top are now kind of bunched into an area right here. Some of them are kind of hidden in tabs. Like if you click on home, you get a certain group of them. Other, you get a certain group of them. And then there's some right here. All that used to populate a big area right in here. So it's kind of nice, actually. They've kind of simplified the screen. But that's about all I can tell you about the new version till they give me their secrets. First, really what I'm going to do today is summarize what we've learned in the previous 4 sessions. I've heard from enough folks to I get this feeling that a brush over on everything would really bring everything into focus a little better. I just want it to stick. These basic things, if these stick, we can grow off of all this pretty good. So I'm going to read the 2 sentences that really sum up TDF. Everybody just please take these in because it really tells you what TDF is all about, what we might do in the future. TDF is all about increased visibility across all areas of L&R, stretching beyond but actually including email. It's a computer program that allows for the creation, documentation, and storage of information for all TDF users to see and use. So those 2 sentences kind of sum it up. TDF consists of records and items. Those are all the things you see either up through here, like accounts, activities, emails, opportunities, all those kind of things. Or you also see them across the left over here. This has happened so many times with different people. I've got to say it again. Be sure all items and records is selected down here so they are all visible and accessible for you. If you get that on something else, you'll be looking for stuff that you can't find it. For simplicity, I'm just going to call anything created in TDF a record. TDF calls them a variety of things. I'm just going to, if it's created in TDF, I'm going to call it a record. Now, I have accounts open. Accounts is one type of record, and it's kind of the most obvious. For the most part, we don't create accounts. They come over from Prelude every night. There are exceptions to that. We do create some accounts, basically so we can create other things off of those accounts. But most of the accounts are like what you see here. They're in these GLs, 6,000 on up to 6,043, whatever. They're telemarketing, they're chains with service, they're on and on chains, no service, on and on and on. Independents, they're stores, they're headquarters. They are accounts. That's what we live under. That's where we start our whole TDF effort. But again, we do create other types of accounts on our own for our purposes so that we can create other things off of it. Strategic plans is a perfect example. I'll show you after a while. So most things created in TDF, I'll point some out, strategic plans, opportunities, contacts, activities, are built directly or indirectly off of an account. I want you to view accounts as a parent, and those other records created off an account as children. It's kind of a nice visual. It's what has helped me to kind of understand TDF a little better, the ebbs and flows of it. Accounts exist in L&R, in the L&R world, under pretty much this heading, GL or account packages. This is a full list of accounts, so I'm going to show you those. I'm just going to click on this filter. These are all the account packages that we can build things from, or I should say build accounts off of. So this is kind of the starting point for accounts. As they exist, accounts exist under these. But once they exist under those, accounts kind of shove that to the side and everything is worked off the account as opposed to this. So I hope that made sense there. So let's do one other thing. Just notice the grid design to this. It's Excel-like, columns, rows. Anything you open, activities, emails, contacts, all the same. Different information, but same grid design. Let's do a little filtering and sorting. You want to filter this column for just 6002 GL. Just put in the 6002. That's all you'll have here. I'm going to erase that. Another great way to filter is to go in the upper right-hand corner of any column heading. Click on that, and all the available entries in any of the column cells is available to you. So I clicked in 6002 to get that filtered here, but I could also go here and just click on it. Same difference. But that, as I work in here more and more, that's really a nice, easy way to filter through to things. I can sort clicking on the cell. This little black arrow just sorts one way or the other, either, alphabetically, numerically, up, down, whatever. This is just lowest to highest, highest to lowest, one of the two. It will sort whatever's in that column. Just clicking on that little arrow. Okay, so I'm going to filter real quick just for a store. I come over here, DL1276 is the customer ID, so it just brings up those. I bring up 0004, boom, I just have that one account. That's what I wanted. Simple enough. Just doing a little filtering. Now, when you have filters in here and you don't want to just get up here and erase each one of them, remember you can come down here, click on that X, and all those filters are gone. Now, with accounts open, there are a list of possible views. Now, views are like windows in a house, I was explaining. Depending on which one you look through determines what you see. Now, I'll give more on views in a minute, but they're over here no matter what you have open, activities, contacts, whatever, your views will be listed over here. In this case, they're so scrunched on my screen that I got to use an arrow to get to it. But there's the view I'm currently in. The views under there are all the other views available. I'll get back to views here in a little bit. Each row in a TDF grid represents one record. So if accounts is open, this line is one account. Sitting in the grid like it is right here, it's unopened. There's a lot of information here, but you can get more by opening it. You open any record by highlighting it and clicking here, or you can also right click, and right click you can do a lot of things. I do, everything I do really is off a right click because you can almost do everything from here. I can open this. I can view anything that is linked to this account. So if an activity was created off of this account, I can view it using the right click and just go up to activities. If I want to see everything that's linked to this account, I just click here, and I'm going to do that in a minute. Action, if you want to create something, we'll talk about that in a little bit. You just go to the action button, and you have just about anything in the world you could possibly create in TDF. And in our case, a lot of things we can't even create. They're not set up yet. I'm going to go back to my DI 1276 and store 0004. I'm going to click on it, right click, view. I want to go to all linked records and items. And this is going to be a pretty good sized list. Everything comes up that's linked, that was created off of that account, is linked to it, and it'll show here. So I've got a lot of emails. I've got an activity here. I got another activity here. Down farther, I've got an appointment, a lot of emails, a few activities, an appointment, everything linked. And sometimes that can become very important because you do want to see everything that's linked to an account. If there's something happening with an account and you want to know everything that has ever been keyed in about that account, this is how you do it. And you don't, one of the virtues of TDF, here it is all together, not in 14 different people's email boxes somewhere. A lot of information available to you right here. We're still trying to discern how to use all the information that is slowly getting created into TDF. But here's an example. If I had a problem at Dierbergs number 4, I could come here and start, figuring out what maybe happened in the past. It's all available to me. Okay, I'm out of there. Back to my info center and accounts. One thing I didn't show you there, when you right click on an account, there's a view map down there, which somewhere along the line can come in very handy for people. Go straight to Google Map and you've got the location. That's pretty cool there. Back to Info Center. So we're going to open an account. I guess I can open this one. This is a store. It's an individual store. Still, called an account in TDF. It's store number 4, Dierbergs. Some of this information that you see, there's not much here, but the little bit that is here came over from TDF. There just wasn't much there to bring over, but it brought over the address. It came over from Prelude. So we didn't create this account in TDF. It just came over one night from Prelude. And we have some icons across the top that allow you to do some things. I'll get to some of those in a minute. We already saw what records are linked to this account. A minute ago, we didn't open it. We just right-clicked on it and went to all linked items. But we could also do that with this open. That's what this icon up here, again, same thing. I click on here, 2 ways to do the same thing. I'll get that long list of things that are linked to this account. Now I want to get into creating a little bit. We went through this like a month ago. I talk about accounts. Well, accounts, for the most part, come over from Prelude. Everything else in here has been created. It's kind of incredible when I go through these. I click on activities. The view is all activities, so no activities have been filtered out. 40,000 of these darn things have been created over the last couple of years. A lot of creating, a lot of information. Some of it being used, some of it I guess will never be used, but it is being documented in TDF. That's a lot of information. If I click on emails, same thing. There's 16,000 emails in TDF. What benefit will we get from all that? Hopefully, as we learn to use TDF a little more and everything else, it will be beneficial. We've already seen that it has been already. But again, a ton of information with some of the questions being how do we use that? How do we get to it once we do figure out how we want to use it? So I mentioned earlier that the best way to create something is almost always going to be to create it off an account. So you find the account. I'm going to get rid of this filtering on here so that it's back to all active accounts, 80,000 of them. I want to build off of one of these for whatever reason, an opportunity at that account, an activity needs to be written up for that account, whatever it is. But I do, so that's pretty easy. I just find that account. I mean, if it's got a customer ID and a store number, I can find it real quick like I did a minute ago. But I mentioned a little bit ago that we do have some accounts that are kind of weird. You notice I'm clicking in this area to filter. I put in PROS, and we have accounts that are actually under a GL called prospects. We had to create this so that we could build accounts under it that aren't quite accounts yet. They're just possible accounts. So I just want you to, it's just a case where we can use this GL column a lot of different ways. We can build things under here so that we can build accounts. So we can be a little more flexible with TDF. There's just a lot of things we can do. Okay. So I wanted to show you one more in here too, and that's one more GL is Projects All. That's where all our strategic plans are created. A strategic plan wouldn't really be a good idea to create under an account. What account does it go to? In most cases, it's not really attached to an account. So we created something to attach strategic plans to so that we could find them, and we find them under Projects All or Projects Executive. That's where they're created. That's where we can find them. Okay? All right. So I'm going to get rid of this filter. And let's just say this is just in layman's terms, the simplest way I can put it, create something off an account. Find the account, right-click on it, go to Action, decide what you want to create. Let's say in this case it's a new activity. A form opens up, an electronic form that L&R created. This wasn't created by TDF. They may have helped us create it, but we were the ones that said, hey, we need this field in here. We need this information. We need this opportunity. We need to be able to fill in this kind of information. So we created this to serve our purposes. The purpose was for activities to document phone calls and emails coming into L&R. That's mostly what this is. Recently, we put a complaint by field in here. That wasn't in here for almost 2 years, but we finally thought that would benefit us, so we just put it in. Just get into a creator mode in TDF, and we created this. Again, our purpose has changed, so we decided we needed this so that we could filter activities by whether they're truly a complaint or not. A lot of phone calls come in that aren't a complaint, but a lot come in that do, and those are the ones we want account managers to see, so we can filter by it now. But you would just, once you get the form opened, you would fill it out. That's a case of understanding what your manager wants you to fill out. There's a lot of fields here. And probably on no one of these is every one of these filled out. Maybe in some, but it's a case of knowing what your manager wants you, which fields he wants you to keep active, where he wants you to put the information. Also on these forms, and this is an electronic activity form. Again, there's electronic strategic plan forms, there's electronic contact forms, and on and on and on. Most of them have fields available to complete, but they also have tabs, so be aware of these tabs too. This is just a notes area. If there's just no field that really gives you what you need to put all your information in, then you might find a tab to be able to do that with. My point is, use as much of the form as you need to get the documentation in there. Once you have created it, you would save or save and close. Now, I haven't actually created one here. This was an existing one. I'm just going to close it. But if we had just created this, you know, we would want to be sure we click save or save and close, or just like files in Windows or something, they may not save the information you most recently put in. Now, once you create, I don't want changes have been not been saved. Would you like to? No. Okay, so once you create something, like in that case, I created an activity. Well, to find it, there are a variety of ways, but certainly you can just go to activities. Be sure you're in a view that allows you to see it, and then just start filtering it, and you can find that very activity that you created. Now, anything you create in TDF, even accounts, you can always go back to and edit and update. Again, just like a file in Windows or something, you can always go back, update, edit, save. And, you know, we do a good bit of that with the different variety of records. I want to show you another. I'm going to go to strategic plans. Now, this is a weird view, but that's okay. We don't need it in any certain view. I mentioned that accounts you can kind of look at as parents, and what you create off of them is children. But in this case, we created a strategic plan off of an account, and now we're going to create something off of this strategic plan. So really, that's kind of a grandchild to the account. It's just, but it all links together as long as you're creating one off of another. So in this case, let's say we have this one. I'm going to open it. Let's say someone just created this strategic plan, and they want to assign some tasks to a variety of people. And, you know, they could assign 50 tasks if they wanted to off this one strategic plan, but obviously one at a time. Here would be that process. And this is really a part of TDF that's becoming, in recent months, has become more relevant because there's more of this going on, more tasks flying around. The person who creates the strategic plan decides what task they want to assign that's about this strategic plan. So I keep getting this thing in the way. Oh, go away. So I've got this strategic plan open. I want to build something off of it. I go up to Actions. I go and I want to build a task off of this. So I go to New Task. That's going to open a new form. Now, I wasn't creating that task directly off of an account. I was creating it indirectly because the strategic plan was created off of an account, and now we're creating something off of that strategic plan. All those things linked together. Whatever the task is that the creator of that strategic plan wants to give out, he would put in a task team lead. That's the person he or she's going to send this task to. Whatever other information they may want to put in this task. There's a lot of fields. Again, it'd be up to the person creating the strategic plan what they wanted to put in here. Even a possible completed date or a strategic plan due date or just all kinds of information. So They would get whatever they need to in here, and then they would avoid the most obvious thing on this screen, and that's the assign task. That's not up and running yet, or at least TDF is telling me that. So I'm going to just put a K or test in here as if I'm creating a true task. And then I'm going to save it. So at this point, I have an account. I have a strategic plan built off of that account. I've just saved a task that I built off of that strategic plan. Now I want to get this task to whoever I put in here as team lead. To do that, and this is just crucial in terms of what we're trying to achieve with TDF, email detail to get this information to the person who's the task lead. So I would click on email detail. This I explained last time, so I'm not going to take much time on. I'm just going to do this one right here. Include the link back to this. The email that I'm about to create will have a link in it that comes back to this task. I'm going to OK it. The whole key here, stay away from assign task, use email detail. Kind of unfortunate we got to do it that way, but that's how we got to do it. I'm going to send this to me. I'm the team lead. Send. I don't know if any of you, others of you have been having trouble with email. I have been. So I hope this comes through okay. There I am. That was the email just sent from TDF. I opened this fella. And I know I made a big deal of this last time. You know, I didn't put anything in the email. Most cases, one would to explain the task. But if I clicked on this, one of these two, I would go straight back to that task. But there's also this thing here. You might remember it. It's called a GUID. It's what email detail is all about. This GUID comes with it when you use email detail. When that initial email that was sent to me, this one, it hit the server with this GUID because we used email detail. As soon as TDF saw this GUID, they logged it into TDF. Now, when I reply to this GUID will still be in my reply. It'll hit the server. Boom, it'll go in, it'll log into TDF because of this GUID still exists. If I forwarded this to someone, same thing, the GUID still exists. Unless this is somehow eliminated, and there's a way to do it, but I don't even know what that is. The replies and forwards to that email created using email detail within TDF, all those emails will continue to log into TDF. And that's been a big thing with Riley. It's a big thing with allowing TDF to really document and have in it everything we want to have in it, because we truly do want to have the emails in TDF that are involved with any of the strategic plans or tasks or activities. Okay, so I'm not going to...
Robert?
Yep.
Just real quick, this is Baylor.
Yeah.
One way that deletion occurs, some people have a tendency when they're forwarding emails and with content, they want to get rid of the previous signature line. And if you if you hit Shift End and then delete, it will delete that GUID. So then you lose your path and it won't link back into TDF.
But I didn't quite understand what you meant. What would I do right here?
So like, for example, right here, if you put your mouse pointer above online, just somewhere in the body of the email, somewhere up above, or if you went and you were going to forward this, let's say. So act like you're going to forward it real quick. Just for your email.
Here, I got to get back to, okay.
Yeah, you got to
So
get
here,
back to
so I'm
Outlook.
going to forward. So I just
Right.
put,
So if
okay.
you click on forward right there, and now right down below, say your subject line, see where the email embedded? Put your mouse pointer below the subject line. And now hold the shift key and press end.
End?
Or down arrow key, either way. So basically, you're going to highlight everything in the rest of that email all the way down. So if you accidentally, or if you left-clicked your mouse button and drug it all the way down to the bottom of the email,
okay,
and you deleted that, that would delete that link.
Okay. So
that's what you don't want to do, is you do not want to delete that link, whatever you do.
Yeah, and it's easy to do because it's basically invisible. So hang on to that. Okay, thanks, Baylor. Appreciate that. Okay, so now I want to get into emails. We just did a little bit on email detail, but I want to get a little more into it. There are 4 ways that I know of to log emails into TDF, and I'm going to buzz through these pretty good. Manually, if you have an email and it came into your inbox, it didn't log into TDF because there was no GUID, there was nothing that allowed it to log into TDF, but you do want it into TDF, you highlight it, click up here, click on this chain link. It's going to take you to global search, where you can search for the record that you want to link that to. So let's say I wanted to link it to Dierberg's number 4. Well, I would put Dierberg's in here. I would keep it on account. I'd click this. All the Dierberg's would come up because that's what the search is. I'd find number 4. And then I'd click on the chain link fence that is on that aligns with that record. There's another chain link over here. I'd click on that. It takes a little while. That's why I'm not doing it. But that email would manually link into TDF, linked to whatever you decide to link it to up here. The problem with it, and it's a pretty big problem, is it doesn't have a GUID. If it's replied to or forwarded, there's nothing in it that's going to catch the next one into TDF. So just be aware of that. Know that you can manually place an email into TDF, but it doesn't have all the components you would like it to, because replies and forwards to it are not also going to link in there. Okay. The other ways for emails to get in, one is a domain. So like @Dierbergs.com would be a domain. All the Dierbergs employees have that domain in their email. So I'm able to set that up in TDF. So I get a lot of Dierbergs emails in here because I have that domain catching all the emails that have that domain in an email address in the to, from, or CC fields of an email. So it kind of works like a GUID. It'll catch it, but for a different reason, and it'll haul it in to TDF, and it'll link it or log it to wherever you set up the domain to log it to. So that's another way. If you have that kind of account, that might be kind of interesting for you to think about getting an administrator to put that domain in so those emails log into TDF. The other way is to create an actual contact. I'm not going to go too far with this, but if you can create a contact. So I would create a contact by getting to an account and then right-clicking and going to action and go to new contact. I'd put in contact information for whoever it is. It's, you know, it's a record just like these others. I'd put in the email address in that contact record. And because that email address is then in TDF as a contact, again, TDF would see that as it hit as any emails from or to that contact. It would grab up that email and log it into TDF. So that's another way for emails to log. The fourth way is what we talked about earlier, that whole email detail thing. And that's the best way. It really puts a GUID into the initial email, and that baby's replies and everything else can just keep coming right back into TDF. So those are the ways that emails can log into TDF. Just be careful with the manual, because the replies and such will not log. Okay, last week we talked about views and alerts. So I'm going to buzz through those pretty quick. You all know I talked about earlier, every record type that you open has a variety of views. Just click on view and you'll see what they are. There are two types of views. Global views, which we're here. That's what we're looking at here, because this blue globe means global. I'm going to be careful here because some of this stuff can take time. I'm not going to click on this, but if I did, a white and green globe would come up, and that will show your personal or local views, they're also called. Global views are created by an administrator. Here they are for emails. Everybody, every TDF user can see these and use them. Local or personal views are created by individual TDF users, and only they can see them. It's not hard to create them. So if anybody ever has a reason to do that, it's basically just eliminates having to go through all the filtering. If you have a view you want a lot of, then let's make a view for it. Make it a personal view. You can get to it anytime you want, and boom, you probably save a little time if you go to it a lot. If you're looking for information in TDF and you're in accounts and you're going, I can't find that account. It's not here, Robert. Well, it may be because you're not in the right view. Whatever view you're in might be filtering that information out. You might also not have the right permissions in TDF, so you'd want to you just want to get a hold of me, and we can figure out why you can't find what you're looking for. One of the more frustrating, there's a lot of frustrating things about TDF, but that one has frustrated a lot of people. Okay, so you want a view that shows you Safeway East activities with complaints in the last 6 months. Well, you know, you can create that view. It's just a matter of digging out some filters, saving it, and you've got that view in your list of views, ready and easy to use. A few things you can do as individual TDF users. You can select which record opens when you first start up TDF. So I have accounts opening when I first open TDF in the morning, but I could make that activities, I could make it emails, I could make it whatever. Is that a big deal? No, but it might down the road help y'all. I just want you to know you can do it. You can also select, individuals can select which view opens along with that record. So I've got accounts opening first, and accounts all active is the view that opens along with it. I chose those. You might choose activities all to open when you first open TDF. Again, is it a big deal? No, but you got a little control over some things. You can select which view opens for any of these records. So if I open and accounts opens and accounts all active is the view, and then I go to emails, I can decide what view opens when emails first open. So just want to make you aware of those things. Can help you. And again, I mentioned that you can create your own views. Just give me a call. I don't want to go through all that again. We did it last week, but we can create views pretty quick if you see the need for it. Alerts. Alerts are mailings. They're emails that send they send email messages out automatically to TDF users, and that email displays information related to records in TDF, and that alert can be specified down to however you can filter things. So it could be an alert that you get in the morning in an email that just says, hey, in the last 24 hours, these are the activities that were written up by CSS for Albertsons. You know, I know I'm on the sales side of things when I do all this, but as we move along, it'll be able to be used for all the departments in one way or another. But if that alert, you don't have to, with these alerts, you don't have to go looking for stuff because they come to you automatically. They're kind of like the MITS reports that we set up. Boom, they're in our mailbox every morning. Same way here, whatever information that's in TDF, if it's in here, as best I know, we can make an alert arrive in your email every morning or once a week, whatever, with that information. So be aware of that too. I'm just trying to give you the idea of what you can do, and then you can call me, we can do it together or whatever. Okay, so I've kind of backtracked through everything we went through the first 4 sessions. I hope I didn't bore you with that, but I figured that would help some things stick a little bit. You know, one of the truly big things with TDF, at this point at least, is that it's a lot of information gathered in a variety of ways. And that amount of information is just growing day by day. The key for people using TDF is how do you get to that information? Why get to it? How to use it? I'm going to show you something. I don't know if this pertains to anyone. Al Oliver called the other day, and I kind of worked through this a little bit because he was looking for some particular information in TDF, and he just couldn't figure out how to dig it out. Well, I couldn't figure it out either. I had to call TDF, but we found it. I'm trying to remember here. What's that guy doing there? We had activities. This isn't what we were looking for the other day, Al, but I just want to. I think I'm stuck. There we go. Okay, so there are those times when you're trying to find information that you might do best to group some of the information. And of course, we know we can do that in Excel. Well, you can do it in a pretty similar way here. Let's say I want to group this by this customer ID. We can't see any of them right now, but here they come. They're just the identifier for our customers, usually a 6-digit identifier. So I grab that header and I put it in this area here. It's going to group everything, okay? So I don't know that that's what I wanted, but that's okay. It grouped it into, I don't know how many different ones here, but it's grouping it by this particular heading, okay? And if I wanted to know a little more information, I mean, I can open these and it'll show me, you know, everything in that as it opens up. But, you know, the other day what Al needed to know, and I know, Al, this isn't what you were looking for, but this was the whole idea. he wanted to know how many records were under each of these. So I achieved that by getting to this point. I right-clicked in this area, and my TDF is slowing down. And you right-click in this area, and again, this is kind of like Excel. It just works it a little differently. But if we want to know how many records are in this under this heading, this grouping, well, we just go to count, and it'll show me. So there's 6 under there, there's 10 under this one, 5 under that one, 4 under this one, and on and on. And I suppose there are other things we can do there too. I know a lot of people can probably get pretty creative with these groupings. I mean, I could have brought another grouping over too, and it would have, grouped down through 2 groupings. So you can dig a lot of information out that might not be very accessible any other way by using these groupings. When you're finished there, and there's a lot more can be done here. I'm just learning this. So maybe I'll have more for you down the road, stuff that really would benefit you. So I'm going to just bring this back down. We're out of the grouping. We're back where we started. Okay. So where to from here? For those of you who have been in all 5 of these sessions, a test will be available soon to allow certification. That test has proven to be a little difficult to create the way I want to create it, but we'll have it. It would come along with some materials that would help you, to not update you, but just, go back through some of the things that would be in the test. Not a cheat sheet, but you know what I mean. And that's when you would get certification, is if you pass that test and have seen all 5 of these wonderful sessions. And, you'll certainly want to invite your loved ones to that certification ceremony. So it should be exciting. Anyway, I don't have the test yet. When it exists, I'll be in touch. For now, just consider tuning in the next time around for any sessions you missed. Also consider re-attending if anything is giving you trouble. If emails are giving you trouble, look for that one to come up again, because I'm going to go through these 5 sessions at least 2 more times, and I start the second time through them next week. So that's it. I'm going to unmute.
Yeah, I mean, look,
If there's anybody out there with a question, I've almost gone an hour this time. I'm trying not to do that. If anybody has a question, I would try to do what I can with it.
Hey, Robert, it's Kathy.
Kathy?
I don't know if you covered this, but can you export this information into Excel?
Yes, you can. And it's just as easy as can be. You just have to find the icon up here. Let's see it. I even have to look around a little bit to find it. Is this it? I don't know why it's not showing, but one of these is the Excel. And you click on it, and boom, a grid like this will go straight into Excel.
Okay, and I have one other question. We schedule a lot of the independent stores with their resets.
Kathy, I'm sorry, but I'm losing you. I can't hear you quite. I'm going to mute everybody, and are you able to unmute just yourself?
Yes, she'll be able to, Robert.
Yeah. So, Kathy, if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you better, yeah.
Can we open multiple customers in Google Maps at one time so we can see where they are in relation to each other? Like if I wanted to schedule a bunch of independent accounts for
Yeah.
resets.
Open multiple account. I'm gonna have to check.
Okay,
That doesn't I don't know. Open multiple accounts in Maps off of TDF. So you just have boy. I don't know. I don't know if that one's possible. We'll
Okay.
check on it, Kathy.
thank
Hey,
you.
Robert.
Yeah.
Kathy's question, if you go two icons to the right of the red X, look, see where your red X is right at your header bar right there? Now go over two. No, to the right. Go to the right. Yeah, right there. That's your export to Excel.
Yeah, and I usually, you know, when you run your mouse over it, it says what it is. I don't know why that's not happening right here. So I
Yeah,
could
it's something due to your interface. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I don't get what, because it used to do it. Might be the new version. But yeah, anyway, and it's simple. I don't know what happens exactly after you hit that, but it's just one more button, I think, and you've got it in Excel.
Okay, thank you.
Just be careful. Some of these files or some of these grids are huge. So you see what came up right away. I can give it a name and put it in a file.
Okay.
That part of it's pretty simple. Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Thanks again, Baylor.
Oh, you're welcome, Robert. I don't think it applies. I don't know how far along anybody's gotten, but anybody that deals in strategic plans, Brian and I have gotten TDF to update and correct within the strategic plans the experience review, which would be a way what you would want to do. Like, for example, if you open one down there, go down to KPI developer, it doesn't matter where, but now go down towards, see where it says there are 4 tabs across there, and that's where you build your strategic plan, either your impact filter, what you think is going to happen, your obstacles and strategies, and then experience review is designed so that you can, after the fact, after you've gone through the strategic plan, you actually, if you'll click on experience review, and if you can scroll down, you can actually see where it will give you different fields and areas to basically summarize what went right, what went wrong, so that in the future we don't have to recreate the wheel. We can come back to the strategic plan. If we're, say, for example, we've just moved 6 chains in 2 different groups from warehouse 1 and 2 to warehouse 4, we've reviewed down there to show what worked and what didn't and what we can improve upon. If we know what we know today, what could we improve upon? So all of that works now. You just have to make sure after you fill out these fields, you have to click on save as you go or save and close. But that area does work now.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of tabs here. There's a lot you can put in this some of these records. Okay. So that wasn't even working before?
No, it was not. You could type in all day you wanted to, and then even if you save and closed, when you open it back up, it would not work. So TDF has gotten that to work. In fact, actually, that was available as of this morning.
Oh, okay. You see, I don't know all that is happening behind my back with TDF. I don't get everything that's going on. Okay, so anything else? I will be in touch with you all. Please, again, we're going to try to start doing this a different way starting next week, but just send me an email saying I was on, Robert. That's the best I can do right now. We'll have a different way of doing this later. But send me that email so I have an idea who was on here. And then I can start figuring a few things out for where we go with testing, certification, stuff like that. Okay, everyone? That's a take. All of you enjoy the rest of your day. I would let you talk if I can bring that up. Okay, yeah, everybody enjoy your day. Thank you all very much. You're the best class I ever had. You all deserve a big raise. Any of you who aren't already should be vice presidents. These are all comments, not to be repeated anywhere.